Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where you will hear sounds that do not sound quite adult. It's not us being jerks. It's just a baby in the room, that's all.
Oh, and she wants to say hi.
Yeah, so, Kelvin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Life is good. Still up here in, where do I live? Upstate New York. No, this is not upstate. This is central New York.
That's Central
New York, where we had a beautiful spring week just in time for it to turn crazy on the weekend. It's not supposed to snow, maybe, but it is supposed to get down to, say, high 20s, low 40s for the weekend. And there was there were rumors of potential snow for Sunday a little bit. But other than that, planet's still here. The big ball is still spinning and life is good.
Well, it's good to know that you understand it as a ball and not a flat planet, not a flat Earth. Is that...
No, actually, I have taken some... I have done some celestial travel and looked back down, and nope, it's definitely round. Yeah. From various angles. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I don't understand it, man. I just don't Marlena doesn't either.
Oh, the people who think the world is flat?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even flat if you look across it. You can see it curve off. But yeah, I don't know. Apparently, that is a conspiracy of people who don't trust the media or something.
Right. Or science.
Or I wonder if you could actually put them in a spaceship.
Well, some guy has been trying this for a while. He built his own rocket.
Really?
And he keeps looking for launch spaces because he wants to prove that the Earth is flat.
Really?
And somehow, missions keep getting aborted.
I wonder what's up with that. Could be he has some technical support issues. It's very interesting. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to settle. I've seen the rockets go up. And I wasn't in them at the time when they turned on the cameras to show us behind them and what it looks like when you're going that way. Okay, I'm pointing up now. You can't see that. And looking backwards, which I'm pointing down now, and you can't see that either. You're just going to have to take my word for it. I should do a screen shot just so people can see what the highly successful podcaster
my setup over here. Yeah.
That is it.
I'm sure that long pause will come out. I'm sure that long pause will come out in the.
Yes, I will. I will take that.
But the long pause was a burping. And that definitely pops up on the microphone if you don't mute it. It sounds a lot like...
it's a baby.
It sounds a lot like this.
It's not like Homer Simpson burp, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you get the patting on the back, so it sounds like...
Oh, like you're beating her to death, yeah.
Yeah, on the microphone.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Even the small chest cavity makes amplifies.
Yeah, makes some noise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I feel like if you don't believe in science, you shouldn't get to use it to spread the information.
Oh, no, there is an interesting.
So 100% of scientists believe the Earth is round. Earth's probably round, right? And if you don't think that the Earth is round, if you don't believe them, then you shouldn't get to use the stuff they built, like computers and cell phones, and to test your theories or spread your theories.
I see. Like the communications through the among the satellites and the geosynchronous orbits and so forth.
That's right.
You didn't think I knew the word geosynchronous, did you?
Well, geosynchronous isn't the important stuff. Orbit was the word, because you don't orbit something that's flat.
Generally speaking. Well, maybe, I mean, but there's got to be an underside at least. You know what I mean? So
right. I think the theory says that the Earth is pizza shaped.
Oh.
So it's round but flat. So rather than a sphere, it's a circle.
Gotcha. I don't see a perfectly flat thing being. That doesn't make. Nothing else in space is perfectly flat. I wonder if they've actually
all fake, Kelvin. All fake.
I know, but what about the ones that fell? What about the ones that fell through the atmosphere and made big holes?
Just pieces of the pizza.
Got it. Okay, from above.
Yes.
Well, never mind. Okay, got it. Maybe we should go smoke with. Never mind. I forget that. Never mind. Anyway,
I just love looking at Facebook posts that say they've got people coming from all around the globe to talk to their Flat Earth conference. Around the globe.
There you go. That's a globe part. Well, now that
let's put some music in here. That'll be a good way to get out of this.
Get out of here.
Yeah, way to get out of this side conversation here.
Teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
So the other night, I'm at my lodge meeting, and one of the guys comes up telling me about his son taking his family strawberry picking. Guy kills a 5-foot rattlesnake. And I look at the guy and I said, well, there's an argument for grocery stores. And it got me thinking a little bit. About convenience. Because we didn't always have grocery stores.
No, we didn't.
Heck, I think probably when you were growing up, you couldn't. Did you have full-on grocery stores when you were growing up? Because
we had running water and all that stuff back then.
Well, I mean, like we were just starting to get like supermarkets.
Yeah.
When I was growing up,
I'm trying to remember.
Like, did you have to go to a separate butcher shop and a separate bakery? You might have gotten white bread in the.
It was all in the little store. We weren't, of course, back then we weren't necessarily going down to the big stores where the white people lived. I'm trying
there's that
for some of these. No, I don't remember things like Wegmans.
Yeah, I mean, like we never had, like we were just starting to get supermarkets. Like I definitely remember, going to the market and having, like, you could get, stuff from the deli counter and stuff from the butcher shop there. But if you wanted good meat, you went to a separate butcher.
Right.
And if you wanted like good bread, good pastry, you went to a separate bakery.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have those things. But like you can get really good stuff now at the supermarket. Like you don't have to go to multiple stores. Like you can just
That's true.
you can go get good produce. Like, you don't have to go to the farm market to get good produce. You still can, and it's still awesome that you can. But
I just looked up a thing on the web here that said I put in the first supermarket, and the first true supermarket in the United States was opened by Michael J. Cullen on August 4th, 1930, inside a 6,000 square foot former garage in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Okay, well, 6,000 square feet is like the size of your deli. This is the size of the deli in your supermarket right now.
Yeah.
So, we would consider that a specialty market now, or a bodega in New York, right?
Don't talk to me.
Like the Wegmans in DeWitt. The Wegmans in DeWitt, right before I left town, before I moved out of New York, they did an expansion. And that expansion, kind of in the back left corner of that store, where they keep the beer, that's why I know where it was, was the expansion was 128,000 square feet.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So
his little 6,000 square foot store. Yeah, his little 6,000 square foot store is just like the refrigerators in the middle.
That's it.
So he had everything there, but it wasn't a supermarket.
He probably didn't. Yeah, I was going to say he didn't have that.
But he meant. But I guess you probably you were able to get your meats and your breads and your veggies all at one place, and that was new. That was new.
But now
we've got that convenience, and
you can buy everything except cars in a supermarket these days.
Yeah, and you go to a place like Amazon, which actually owns a supermarket chain. You don't ever have to leave your house. You can get food.
Right.
Especially now that grocery stores are delivering.
That's right. And you don't have to brave rattlesnake land.
That's right. So as things get more convenient, what are we doing with our time? It brings to mind for me two issues. One is, what are we not learning? Yeah. Obviously, I can pick strawberries, but I can't kill rattlesnakes.
No.
So, better that guy encountering that rattlesnake than me. The other thing it brings up to me is what are we doing with the time? So I can go to my grocery store's website, or I can use something like Instacart. My grocery store here is Kroger, but I can use something like Instacart and or Postmates. I can just go tell them what I need, right? And I'm like, I need peanut butter and bananas and turkey breast and whatever. They'll have somebody at the store go around and put stuff in a crate for me. And depending on which service I use, I can either just drive up and they'll stick it in my car. Now, I would have paid online. Or they'll just deliver it. Now, I mean, we can talk about this another time, but Kroger actually did an experiment in Arizona. They made a couple of thousand grocery deliveries in driverless cars.
Oh.
So you got online, you ordered the stuff, somebody put it in a car, and the car just showed up with no driver. It just drove up to your door, and you went and took the stuff out and told it you were good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're trying it in Houston now.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are we doing with that time? Are we just using that time to get on Facebook, or are we actually using the time wisely? Are we educating ourselves and our kids and that kind of thing? So those are the two real things. What are we not learning?
I don't know. I'm still personally going to the supermarket. I mean, not very often. Sometimes I call a pizza delivery place, but yeah, I know the point. And if we're going to get crazy about it, I mean, we have the same issue with. Well, you know what? I'm even going to hit it from a different angle.
Okay.
Because what has happened in the world of mechanization is we've lost a lot of artists. We've lost a lot of craftsmen in doing things because computers are putting together things.
Right.
And the human who had the skill to do that stuff, even something so quote unquote insignificant as building a chair.
Yep.
I mean, all that's happening automatically now. And for a while, we were complaining about the quality of things, but even the quality of that stuff has gotten better now. But for every time, and this hits another podcast we talked about another time, I think. But every time we put together a mechanized system that can do something like that, yeah, our efficiency gets better, but we're not using those skills and those brain cells and stuff anymore. So
right, yeah. What aren't we learning?
Yeah. So what are we?
And I know that there's a maker movement out there. There are people who are intentionally buying bespoke furniture and watches, and then there are people who are like, well, that's way too expensive. Why would I ever do that? Well, it's because it's good quality. Somebody took the time to get the right wood that's going to last a long time, and they spent the time to put it together. And
you know what? This is all related, not related. I went to the Great New York State Fair last year.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that with great pride because I've been in New York for 26 years, and I think I've been to the fair 3 times. But that's that's the whole thing. But I stopped in this one exhibit that they were loggers.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea of the science that went into picking wood, cutting wood, deciding what wood makes what. It's amazing knowledge out there that we just lose that because, I mean, we still, although I do say we still have a lot of loggers, I understand, somewhere.
Yeah.
But more and more of that's even been mechanized so that people don't even have to do that.
It takes fewer people to be out there cutting the same number of trees because of the tools. Yep.
So I don't know what we're doing with the time. We've got to be learning something because there's always something new to learn, right? I mean, if somebody is
just because there's something new to learn doesn't mean that we're doing it. So you remember, I just told you about Kroger's driverless car delivery, right?
Right.
So you remember the Jetsons?
I do. Well, not personally. I mean, I'm not here on the planet, but yeah.
Yeah. So in one version, in the intro, George flies his flying car.
Right. But
there are other points throughout where like the family takes a taxi and there's nobody flying the taxi.
Right.
The thing's just flying itself, and they're playing a board game. Yeah, so the family's having quality time.
Uh-huh.
If we had driverless cars, taking us on family trips, is that how we would spend the time? Like, would we do that quality time, or would everybody just be sitting in front of their screen doing whatever? And it's not to say that
these days I think it'd be a car full of smartphones while we were listening to YouTube videos and
right. So some people might be actually learning stuff. I was sitting in a bar yesterday, and I was staring at my phone, but I was reading a book on Kindle. I'm sure that you can't tell by looking at the scene of me sitting in a bar with a beer with with my phone out.
Right.
You can't tell what I'm doing. But if I had been sitting there with a paper copy of a book, you'd be like, oh, cool, that guy's reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you just saw a guy on his phone. But I didn't have to carry the book around. It was very convenient.
True enough.
Yeah, so you can definitely be on your smartphone and be doing something constructive. That doesn't mean that you are.
Right.
If you think about the times that you've taken an Uber, or somebody takes an Uber to work and they're just it just gives them 10 more minutes to check their email before they get into the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or it gives you
there you go.
Gives you another 20 minutes to squeeze in a little work before you get wherever you're going to have fun, supposedly.
Well, let's move. We can't always use me as a good example because right. But what you're a guy who is, so far as I know, you like to make good use of time. So when you're not out picking strawberries and running from rattlesnakes, what kind of stuff are you doing?
I read a lot. I listen a lot. I find my time priorities have shifted with the baby, of course. I can't I can say the words, wait a minute, but she doesn't. She just yells louder.
Right. Mm-hmm. She translates that. And she
just translates that as "you're not here yet."
Uh-huh.
I don't have what I want yet, so I'm just going to get louder. But I try. Well, yeah, especially while she's young enough to not hear the foul language I'm listening to, or to absorb it as such and repeat it. I try to do a lot of listening, audiobooks and podcasts throughout the day. I can be taking in good information, and I have notebooks all over the house and pens. So if I hear something good, it doesn't matter what room I'm in. I'm probably fewer than 5 steps from being able to jot something down.
Gotcha.
Unless I'm sitting on the toilet and then I got to pull my phone out.
But you took it with you. That's good to know.
Yeah, well, my pockets don't generally leave me, so I don't leave my pockets in the other room when I go to the toilet. So,
yeah, no cameras, thanks. That's well, yeah.
And the same, if I'm folding laundry or whatever, and I got something going. That's why I like this medium that we're here in right now. I can just listen to people talk, and maybe I learn something along the way.
Yeah. Me, I was never that build. Well, you know what? There was a time I wanted to be that building guy, but I don't like bruised, bleeding knuckles. From like doing car work and stuff like that. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived on a farm. Matter of fact, my grandfather drove tractor for one of the food producers back in the day. And, some of the things we did as kids was, after all the machinery went through and collected food off those vines and stuff, we would go out in the field and get stuff that was left because, well, the machines leave a lot of good food out there.
Yeah, they do.
So we would do that kind of thing. So we got a lot of experience with manual labor and stuff like that. And my grandparents at the time lived on a farm that did not have running water. Well, it didn't have running water. So we had a pump out front on the porch. Remember those? You've seen those pump handle things?
Yeah.
Ziglar talks about them a lot. That was real, man. And we would learn to prime the pump and get water out of it, but there was nothing going to toilets and stuff like that. So
Right.
there was a lot of maintenance in there. So these days, we don't got to prime the pump. We don't got to empty the slop jar. The actual outhouses or in-houses now with running water. So I don't know what we do. So we got to find something else. I spend a lot of time on a computer looking up things, learning things.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a lot of opportunity for non-productive time.
That's true.
And I'll put
It's funny. You were talking about building, and my brother is taken to building his own furniture, like for his apartment. And we have an enclosed porch that's got a drain in it. So basically, what we did was when you were here, the porch wasn't enclosed yet.
Right.
So we enclosed that porch, but in order to get it to drain, what we did was we dug a little ditch. When I say we, I mean the people we hired.
Got it.
They dug a little ditch, ran a pipe in there that kind of empties a few feet out away from the structure.
Right.
And then they topped the drain with rocks, so that water can actually drain through it.
Right.
Rather than it being packed soil that the water was sitting on top of. Problem with having rocks in an enclosed structure is that babies like to put things in their mouth. So I said to my brother, hey, will you build us a little planter or something that we can, have an open back so that things can still drain, but, have a closed front so baby can't get hands under it to get the rocks.
Right.
So I have a pile of pallets in my garage that it's my job to pull apart so that we have wood. Yeah, we could just buy the wood, but wood's not cheap. I mean, it's not super expensive, but
free, it's better.
But pallets are free, right? Exactly. And it's nice being able to use a hammer and saw and chisel and actually pry these things apart and see progress.
Yeah. And there's some self-esteem issues. When I was in the Air Force, I was an electronics technician. Well, sort of. But we actually went places to install equipment and stuff. And so I did that stuff in the Air Force. A couple years ago, I had a lighting problem downstairs in my basement. And it was amazing that I could not remember how to check to see if there was electricity because one of the lights quit working and it wasn't a bulb. And figuring that out was like really good. So something like that, I'll try to figure out rather than call somebody to do it. And it feels really good when we do that kind of thing. So we're using those parts of the brain we're not using because hitting the button on a smartphone doesn't really give us a lot of adrenaline and good feelings. But, actually, pulling out a wire from the wall that you could conceivably electrocute yourself with, but 120 shouldn't kill you unless you're standing in water. Right. Kind of a thing. But the fact that it was amazing to me that something I used to do on a daily basis now, because I hadn't been doing it, is like, how the heck do I do this? And and I have replaced 2 garbage disposals in my life, and boy, let me tell you what a cluster fun thing that was.
Yeah, that's not. I've done that. I remember the second time you did it, and you forgot that when there was no garbage disposal in there.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, that was really, really good. But the fact that I did it, because that uses a whole different part of the brain.
Right, and that's the part of the brain that's getting shut off by convenience.
Right.
A lot of times. Yeah, on the other hand, convenience is, it's convenient.
I mean, we need it.
We went to...
I'm told we couldn't feed the people on our planet, even the ones that are eating, without the things that have been created with convenience and
Yeah.
and
So we went to Pep Boys for some auto work, and one of the things that was wrong with the car was a headlamp out, and we're like, well, they're already doing this other stuff. Let's let them do the headlamp too. And they came out and they said, okay, here's a $4 light bulb. I can sell you this $4 light bulb and let you use the parking lot as long as you want to put this $4 light bulb in your car. Or I can put it in the queue and it'll go back there and I have to charge you $89 for an hour's worth of labor.
Wow.
To put this $4 light bulb in. So you know what? We went out into the parking lot and we found a YouTube video on how to do it. And it took us a damn hour and a half. Mostly because of the position of where you actually have to pull the plug out was, just hands don't bend that way. Arms don't bend that way. But we did it. And the sense of accomplishment, we never would have figured it out if it weren't for YouTube. And for somebody willing to put a video up for free, I'm sure they're probably making a few cents from ads every now and then. But it cost me nothing to learn how to change the headlamp on a Subaru Forester. Right. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, we're missing that part of our brains when we just go with the convenience of either letting somebody else do it or not, or letting machines do it, letting machines do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
talk about using that part of the brain, but part of what happens with that part of the brain too is the ability to figure out problems.
Yeah, that is a problem solving.
Because that's a physical problem, space and time and spatial versus some intellectual thing where you just come up with a concept. And that's a whole other part of the brain that we lose the ability to do things. And man, who knew this talk would go off in all of these directions?
Right.
But that's the whole thing about convenience.
Yeah. And like back to our grocery store example, I love going to the grocery store. I love being able to pick out which oranges I'm getting, rather than have somebody else do it. But I order all kinds of stuff from Amazon. I don't need to go out to the grocery store to get diapers or hope they have the right formula in. I can just sit there
somewhere
on Amazon, and I know they've got a warehouse with it somewhere, and I know they will get it here tomorrow or the next day.
And you don't even have to hunt that down.
No, in fact, somebody will. I just have to type it in at once, because after you buy it, it just you just get this link that says buy again. So I just click on that. The hardest thing about Amazon right now is that I don't know if they trained all their delivery people to do this, but the heavier the box, the closer they put it to the door. And the problem with that is my screen door opens out, which means that if I go to open the door, there's a big heavy box in the way. And so it means I actually have to grab my keys, or I just unlock the door. I have to go out the side door, walk around the front, move the box out of the way of the door.
Well, that's exercise. You needed the exercise because you're not running as much as you.
That's right. That's what it is.
There you go. So, yeah. So, are we pro convenience, dude, or are we? What do we do?
Yeah. Well, I think I think we have to be pro convenience. It's very convenient, right? In all its forms, or in most of its forms, progress is good. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it progress.
That's what they say.
But we need to find other ways to. Well, we need to find ways to use our newly found free time productively.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to find ways to keep those parts of our brain that we're losing active, that we need to keep our skills up, even if we don't use those skills very often.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will never have rattlesnake killing skills.
I'll be running right there next to you, brother.
But, there's no doubt those are useful skills.
Mm-hmm.
And fewer of us have them as we move forward.
Fewer and fewer.
Well, thanks for reining that back in.
You're welcome.
I feel like we could have gone for a while.
That's what friends are for. Yeah, we got another podcast to do. We can do, the sequel.
That's right. All right. Well,
that's the biggest thing I see about the convenience. I mean, all that's good, but you're right. The parts of our brain we're no longer using, it gets rid of skills that we can use for just stuff. So that means we have to find intentional ways to use those parts of the brain so that we keep that. I mean, that's one of the deals with Alzheimer's, right? Is that?
Yeah, we get out of practice.
Or is that a whole other thing? Yeah.
Well, I think there's a couple parts to that. If you keep somebody with Alzheimer's, using their brain, they'll have faculties longer. But I mean, it is a degenerative disease. It's not like it's pure atrophy.
Right. But a lot of people I've seen with it spend a lot of time. Like my mom she spend hours and hours and hours a day just sitting in the house watching television, and getting her to walk to the end of the driveway to the mailbox was like a chore.
Right.
That's what she do. Every time I go home, she'd be sitting there watching television, and man, it doesn't only so much Barney Fife you can handle. Like before it starts.
Hey, maybe there's only so much Barney Fife you could handle, and she could handle plenty of.
Apparently, yeah. So, yeah. So that's our convenience talk, right?
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Pick how much of it you want to use, but do something intentionally so that your brain continues to function on all the levels that brains can function. Now,
that's right.
You have podcasts on what ways to do that. Maybe do that here. What do you think? Art. What's art? Art's manual, right? Unless you're doing it on an iPad.
Well, even if you're doing it on an iPad, you're still creating. You're still using the creative part of your brain. Now, there's certainly a difference between creating on an iPad and putting pen to paper.
Yep.
It makes different connections in your brain.
And brush to canvas and so forth.
Yeah. Like those all make different connections in your brain. So, choose your medium, but
do something. Do something. So I think I'm going to do more writing. I will say that the keyboards on the keys on the keyboard help keep brain working.
They do. But again, pen to paper is a different type of connection.
It is.
I typically take the show notes of these episodes, on paper, and I think that gives me a deeper. It lets me remember further on down the road.
Mm-hmm.
If we've done something, or remember a source that maybe would be harder to come to mind because I've already written it down at some point.
Right.
I've got a better chance at recalling it because it's made a deeper connection.
Yeah. Back in the day, I could write something down and then throw the paper away.
Yeah.
Same
here.
I don't have that skill, the talent anymore per se. Maybe if I write it 5 or 6 or 30, 45 times. But then we could just go for a walk around the block, right?
Right.
So, but anyway.
All right.
So people go do something with your brain.
Could do something with your time. I mean, now that you've got the convenience of not having to spend your time hunting and picking and all that stuff, go do something. Go do something useful. Kelvin, thanks for being here. Listeners, thanks for being here. Your ratings and reviews help other people find it. If you got something useful out of this, even if you've got a flat Earth friend who needs to hear some truth, share this episode with them. Of course, if you share this episode with them, then that's breaking my rules of if you don't believe in science, you shouldn't get to use it. But maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need a good dose of reality in your podcast.
That'll work.
All right. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye.
A Better Humanhood production.